of the WandaVision episode 6 podcast for BBOE Talk. This was an interesting episode all around. We've been doing this every week now. Every week the episodes get crazier and crazier, it seems. And with me today is John and Terrell, my usual panel. John may not have the best video today because he's working with what he's got, but I'm glad to have him here. So, all right, boys, what did you guys think of the episode overall without spoiling it yet?
Banger.
I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, it's I know we say this every time, but it seems as if every time it gets better than the last one. I think just more happens to unravel the mystery.
There wasn't that many eye-dropping, jaw-dropping moments last week, but overall I thought it was a good episode. It continued on and built upon what we learned last week. Learned a little more.
Actually, if you want to save your battery, you might want to turn off your camera because it's way out of sync. If that would help. Yeah, it's whenever you move, you fly all across the screen. It just may help your battery anyways. It's okay. You tried. Yeah, Terrell, you said it was a banger? In what way? Like MASH?
Yeah, dude. I love that. Everything about it. Without getting into the actual episode itself, just speaking very generally, this aesthetically is one of my favorite episodes. Everything, the way it was written, the cinematography, the colors, pretty much all of that. It was very nostalgic for me.
Yeah, the people were saying the intro was comparative to Malcolm in the Middle.
It literally was Malcolm in the Middle. If you just go to YouTube and you look up a Malcolm in the Middle opening, the intro, all the comments are WandaVision because that's exactly what this opening was ripped from, and they nailed it. I loved it.
Yeah, it was definitely the most stylistic intro. The other ones were cool in their own sense for the time, but this one's this one we probably relate the most to, just that's stuff we were around for. We weren't around for Bewitched intros.
No,
to premiere on TV, but we all saw Malcolm in the Middle when we were younger.
Mm-hmm. I think it's my favorite opening out of all the episodes.
Absolutely. I think that for people who, I work with a woman in her 50s, and she was very into the 60s and the 70s setting because she's watching it also, and she's like, really? I'm here for this 70s fashion and all of that, and the references to the TV shows, and I'm like, yeah, it's really cool. They're doing it really well. But now this one, which is they say it's the 90s, but Malcolm aired in the year 2000 and went on for 6 years. So I guess 90s, really early 2000s. That, and then once we get to next week and the week after, I'm sure it's going to be what will be the most nostalgic for me personally.
I think that's I don't know too far ahead, but I think next week is going to be the Office type. I'd sit down in front of a camera, as we already seen that in the trailer, where she's like, "Oh, Mondays, isn't it?" Whatever.
So I'd be down for some Everybody Hates Chris. I'd be down for some Everybody Hates Chris. Sitting, the kids are maybe in middle school now, and they're sitting down in front of the camera on the couch, like Chris did.
Or they have the flashbacks or the cutouts, the cutbacks, whatever they're called.
Cutbacks.
Yeah, like Family Guy style.
Yeah. Oh no, those are flashbacks.
The jump cuts. Yeah.
Jump cuts. There you go.
I just want to see. Remember that episode of Everybody Hates Chris where the father Terry Crews is when you're in the shower, I will be there. When you're in your car, I will be there. I want to see that, but Wanda with Leslie, when you go to bed, I will be there.
With Vision, punishing Vision. I get it.
So, you guys both saw this episode again about within the last hour.
Yep. So 10 minutes.
Yeah, so that's 2 watches for you each.
Yes,
I've only seen it once. Look at me. But which one of you would like to give the intro of the episode? Since you guys, it's most fresh in your mind.
I guess I'll do it. Yeah, this episode I loved. I know you and I off camera were talking a little bit about, or theorizing a little bit, when we saw some leaks about Pietro, Evan Peters' character, and I told you again off camera. I was like, "Yo, like, what if we get to Halloween and Pietro is just like some guy pretending to be Pietro?" I honestly thought that a Halloween episode is when he would get introduced. Somebody dressing up as him. But little did we know he was here for Halloween, which I really loved. So this episode is centered around Halloween. The kids are dressing up, and it's all about candy. And things kind of start to go really like right off the bat, off script, and I appreciate that. From Vision. So basically, this episode is again centered around Halloween. The kids are going Halloween trick or treating, or more like Halloween thieving, with Pietro, Wanda, Elizabeth Olsen looks hot as hell.
Oh, the memes, man, the memes.
Bro, I was like, ooh. And Vision goes off script. A lot more subtly than he does in the last episodes, but he does nonetheless go off script, and that sets up the whole episode.
Yeah, it was very interesting to see, like, last week's episode where Vision is like, hey, there is stuff happening and I don't like it. And now he's just like, yeah, I'm not even gonna listen to you. I'm just gonna go, like, I'm not even gonna be with the boys anymore. I'm going out on my own.
Mm-hmm. But what stuck out to me from last week to this week was when Vision goes off script last week, it's like explosive and it sets Wanda off, and he's very like angry, and it turns into an argument, which tells us like, okay, things are kind of starting to fall apart. Wanda's losing control, perhaps. And this episode is more like, oh, I've got to go, do the neighborhood watch thing, and then she literally says, oh, you're not supposed to do that. And then Pietro's just like looking at her for a second, and then he's like, oh, is like something wrong? And then she's just like, no, because she kind of feels like maybe, okay, cool, like he's going along with the script, maybe he's not, I don't know. But we know that there's a formula Wanda is following, which Vision broke last week, and in this episode he still derives from Wanda's plan, but in a much more subtle way, where she kind of goes along with it and believes him.
It's also she's losing control. Like, she's starting to realize that she's not in control of everything, and it's finally starting to sink in that she's not like running the show fully. Like, there are some aspects that she can't control.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was the Vision part is well,
Ben's gotta message his hose back.
No, someone on Twitch is asking where we are in the show.
Episode 6.
I probably should put that in the description, but it's all right. The episode 6. Yeah, I really liked what do you call it? The costumes. Vision is Vision. Wanda is Wanda. Billy and Tommy are Quicksilver and not Quicksilver. What is he? Is he Quicksilver?
Yeah, it's Quicksilver. It's Quicksilver and Wiccan.
Yep.
He's also Doctor Strange. It looks like that was Doctor Strange to me.
I think he was more supposed to be Doctor Strange, but also kind of Wiccan. But who's the cool twin? That's Tommy. Okay, so Tommy and Pietro leave to go get costumes really quick, and they both come back as Quicksilver.
Yeah, okay. Which actually had some pretty interesting implications later on when we see that they are developing. That we didn't think they would have powers, but here they are. But we'll get to that. So
I thought one thing about this when they were talking was either Billy or Tommy, when they talked, I could only hear it in one of my headphone speakers, so they were speaking in a monotone. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
I watched it on TV.
Okay, well, I had headphones on, and only when they were talking, I could hear only one speaker. So I don't know if
Oh,
there's something to
that
do with.
has to be on purpose. There's no way.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
has to.
cool.
There's a lot of production stuff that's really clever about this show, and I mean we're probably going to see more of that. I mean, there's that clown the sequence later on. I thought was pretty funny, but that's like another production hint thing. I did a little nod, but
Yeah.
yeah. So we get to we have the intro. They have the little title sequence. Quicksilver has been staying at the house for a while with Pietro. We find out he's been just crashing there, sleeping on the couch all day, every day almost. He doesn't do much, but I mean, to be fair, he doesn't tend to want to do anything. He just does it instantly. But he's just on the couch, just having a good nap. And eventually they decide, hey, we're going to go out for Halloween. And
They just decide no, they're
no, I mean,
it is
am I missing a part before Halloween, Halloween night in there? Like, is it just straight to it? You guys
no,
have seen
it is Halloween. It's
Right,
Halloween.
no, I know it's Halloween. I mean,
Dressing up, it's a banger. Yes,
It goes
but
straight to it.
they're talking about Halloween, and I think what was Billy said basically, Halloween is about like whatever and fun and costumes, and Tommy is like, oh no, it's about candy and scaring people, but mostly candy. Um, and he's dressed up as the cooler twin, which I thought was it's funny how similar he is to Quicksilver, because he's the cool guy. His introduction is he's the cool uncle.
he's not a nerd.
He's not a nerd. He's the cool uncle that comes in wearing the leather jacket, and Tommy's just like him. He has his superpowers. He's the cooler twin, which I also think is kind of comedic because if I remember correctly, he's also the one who's afraid to wake up Pietro right at the beginning because he thinks that he's a vampire.
That was an interesting sequence of events.
Yeah, which was also funny. But yeah, they're all going through their morning thing. It's Halloween. We get the reveal. Wanda is dressed up as herself, but like her comic book self. Original costume. Vision is also the original costume, and then we go on throughout the Halloween day, and Vision wanders off. And right at the beginning, I was starting to think already. Okay, what is Vision doing? Because something is up immediately. He's going off script. We don't know what he's doing. Wanda doesn't really know what he's doing either, but she goes along with it. And then we start to get some of our daytime sequences for Halloween, which were very fun. I appreciated that a lot.
Do you think that the Vision vampire thing was not a Vision vampire? Quicksilver was a vampire was a subtle nod to.
I think to what they're introducing in the future, most likely.
Maybe he's not.
They're
Maybe
trying
he is
to- they're trying
undead.
to find it.
I have a theory about that later, but
Yeah, we'll get to that scene then.
I just think about it. The more when you say it, I'm like, oh, maybe it's. There's some stuff that just can't be a coincidence. Everything's thought out in this show. There's only been one error in the show so far, and that is, we believe it to be an error because of the timeline, and everyone thinks the same thing online, is when they do the what's the thing, like the wires in the wall. We mention this every time, and they have the thing of Norm. Right, his name is Norm, right? The communist.
Oh yeah.
And he says when Vision wakes him up, he is different. He is not himself, and then Vision puts him back, and that happened in episode 3, right? 3 or 4, and then
I think 4. Yeah.
And then, but it actually happened last week, so like that never happened. As they weren't in that time zone, they weren't in that decade yet. So people are saying that they think it's a continuity error.
It could be. I don't know.
I mean, we'll never know. But I mean, I don't think Disney will let that go. Or will let that fly. But they also had the Mandalorian guy who's just in the background.
I was going to mention the jeans guy.
Jeans guy was a thing. So, I mean, you never know. But I mean, we'll find out. If it's not answered by the last episode, it may be an accident. But I mean, not many people even. I keep to like zoom in all the way and like enhance it. Like, So
Uh, but yeah, as we go on, we get our very fun Halloween trick or treating sequence during the daytime.
there are kids.
And
There are kids. We have mentioned that there are kids.
there were
for
a
the
ton
first
of kids.
time.
The first time there are kids in Westview.
That were not Billy and Tommy, and it was totally like normal to everybody. Nobody noticed. We get again some fun sequences with Tommy and Pietro, such as a reference to Kick Ass, which I really loved.
Oh my
Because
god! I
Peters,
screamed. I was like,
yeah,
"Ah! Can't believe they said
because
that."
Evan Peters played in both Kick Ass films.
And Aaron
I thought-
Taylor Johnson
yes,
was Chick Ass and Quicksilver, and they both were. That was like a crazy reference. I mean, that one's like funny jab, but like it was a nice one.
I liked it because I love the Kick Ass films a lot.
My favorite.
And then of course we see them start to steal a lot of the candy, and what were they doing? Stealing candy, smashing jack-o'-lanterns, and smashing
string.
And spray silly string.
Yep.
Yes.
And this is where we find out that Vision wasn't supposed to be on the neighborhood watch that night. So when Wanda asked what was his name?
Herb.
Remember
sure
yeah,
he was like Sherb. Early on in the season.
Wanda asks if Vision was around to help, and Herb said no, he wasn't supposed to be working that night. So then we get a jump cut over to Vision walking into that one neighborhood and seeing that woman.
Well, before we get there, I do want to say that Herb, I realize, is the only identifiable NPC, we'll call him, in this sequence. There's all these kids and parents and adults we've never seen. Agnes, not seen yet. Like Norm, not seen. But Herb, like, who's been one of the weirder characters recently. You know, he was like grinding through that wall. All of a sudden, he's like the one guy to be to be out of all the people. He's just conveniently placed. I don't know. It's I like to call them NPCs. Just they basically are NPCs.
Yep. Yeah, they are.
But like, I just thought it was interesting that he was the only one there that we actually recognized. Everyone else, brand new. In a town that was not that populated, because we had seen all the characters in the talent show. We had seen all the main characters. All the main characters were in that one scene on episode 2. Yep. Now there's like 50 families.
Well, I think that I think Wanda after last week's episode, because we know that this is like an on-running show, and there's credits and everything, and it's all Wanda. I think that Wanda was like, "Oh shoot! Like, he's right. I didn't populate the town with kids. That's a big mess up. Yeah, I should do that." and and then I feel like Vision was pointing out some flaws, and she was like, "Let me go correct that really quick."
But like, it's crazy. Like, out of all the people, we know one person.
Yeah,
that's our only link to the original group. No, we don't see Dottie. I said Agnes is somewhere else. We find out. I mean, we haven't seen Dottie. She's only been in one episode. We've never.
Yep, she's only been in 2 episodes, I think.
2?
Yeah, 2.
I think 2.
She was the talent show, the talent show, and the one that ended with Jimmy Woo breaking through on the radio.
Yep.
That was a talent show. I mean, actually, no. I mean, actually, seen her, like her character, like different.
Oh yeah, like act,
like a different decade. She's only been in one decade. Mm-hmm. The Hearts, seen them twice. Well, we see Mr. Hart in the first episode, never again. Mrs. Hart in 1 and 2, never again. But they're on the wall of suspects.
Yeah,
and like, so it's interesting that like we're getting more populated towns. But we're getting less recognizable faces that you think we would see often. Like, even Agnes was in the main credits. It's just only in the episode for 3 minutes, and she's not even herself.
It also could be a sign of like the 70s TV shows, because like if you think back to them, those like scenes aren't very populated with characters. There's always like a small group of people. But then when we
Yeah.
get to like the
we
90s
start
and the
putting extras in
2000s, that's
TV.
when we start to get extras. So maybe it has
Yeah.
to do just with the era of TV.
I mean, like I said, this show is very, very clever. It wouldn't surprise me if that's what they're doing.
Mhm.
But we do find out that Sherb is what I'm gonna call him Sherb. He's like, Vision's where? There's what's going on? There's silly strain, there's candy missing. And then he's like, yeah, Vision's not here. And then so we find out where Vision is. John, as you were gonna say, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
It's okay. He was walking to a different part of town and he sees some kids just going around trick or treating, but then he stops at this one house where he sees a woman going back and forth trying to put this ghost up. And then her husband was in the background just placing a jack-o'-lantern and picking it back up. But when you get a zoom in on like this woman's face, you see her that she's crying, so she's trapped. She's trapped in like a loop.
She can't finish it.
No, it's like Wanda's control can only go through so many people, and maybe she wasn't expecting the camera, so to say, to get that far. Because it seems like the furthest you get to the edge, the less
control you have.
Control you have, and the less
DMBR.
what's the word I'm looking for? Scripting that the characters have. Like she doesn't have to fill in that time.
Now, this is like the first major glitch in the system that we see. Like this one is like crazy, just like the other ones where like Agnes is like, "Oh no, I made a mistake, whoopsie," or whatever. But now it's like, wow, there's actually people they just can't compute. Like they're just glitched. They have to restart their save file. you know. But yeah, then we did like a really nice.
I also think to an extent, like I was also thinking, like everybody was in the middle, like because CMBR is radiation. It's just like like when you have a nuclear bomb go off, like you have the flashpoint, which is where it's the most powerful, and then the radiation, the half-life is shorter and shorter the further out you get, and then like eventually at the end, like you're at a safe space. And so I was kind of thinking that maybe that there's just less CMBR there, or like you said, her influence can only go so far.
Yeah, but the Vision scene was actually great. It's he finds Agnes literally at the edge of town, where it was that street, and it said, no one goes past that street. Don't go past that street. And she's almost past the street, and she's ironically dressed up as a witch. We know Agnes's birthday or anniversary is the Salem witch trial thing. The date of the Salem witch trials. So another clever thing. But she's dressed up as a witch. She does that witch laugh, like the evil witchy laugh in a bit. But she's just there, and what happens before he wakes her up?
Well, before you even get there, you have the nighttime scene. Like you have a few scenes before that, because you have
shipping fast.
We have
where everybody's congregating in the middle, and Pietro is having a conversation with Wanda.
I thought that happened. Must have.
No, you have that, and then you have
Wanda.
Yeah, you have that, and then you have the scene where Vision flies, and then all sorts of stuff. Because Wanda makes the kids return all of the candy. She's like, you stop it, you rapscallions, and then you have Wanda having a conversation with Pietro, and he brings up a lot of the things that we were talking about just a second ago. Where
I remember this now.
He's like, hey, like the kids are like cool and all sorts of stuff, and then also he's like, where were you hiding all of these kids?
Yeah, because in my attic? No.
Anthony? Yeah, he's like, where were you hiding all of these kids? And she's like, I don't really know what you're talking about. And he starts basically questioning her, saying, where were you hiding all of the kids? How did you do all of this? and he mentions that it's actually kind of impressive. And Wanda's like, "Oh, like you don't think it's wrong?" And then he's like, "What? No, like I'm totally impressed," and all sorts of things. And he tells her, and this is kind of where my mind starts to turn a little bit. He's like, like I'm your brother. Like I'm not these random people. Like you can talk to me. And she looks away and looks back, and we get dead Pietro,
Yep.
which is almost as jarring as Dead Vision, but not quite. But not too far off either. Um, and with some of the there's some theories online with Dead Pietro, right?
Oh, he also
Because
asked, "Where is her accent?" And she says, "Well,
yeah,
where's yours?"
yeah.
That
And
was
did he
another
have to
thing.
strength?
She's doing a lot of questioning of him too. Like she's asking about all these
Yeah.
things from their childhood, just trying to suss
Oh
out
yeah,
like
she's
is
like,
this really
what was
Pedro?
that thing that our mom and dad used to do and all that? She's
Like what was the boy with the face, the messed up face? What did he do?
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like she's trying to just. I really don't think she brought him,
No, I don't think so
No,
either.
and
no, she would remember
and
that.
she's like, hey,
And
what?
speaking of Dead
Who are
Pietro,
you?
we were pretty much convinced that this is the same Quicksilver from the X-Men movies. But we see the dead Quicksilver, it has the same bullet holes as our universes or the
Yeah,
MCU's
Mm-hmm.
Quicksilver. So I don't know if this is like something completely different or if she's just like projecting her thoughts onto him or if that's actually his dead body.
Yeah,
Like that's another thing we don't know.
yeah.
That hopefully will get resolved like next week.
I mean, we have 3 weeks.
Yep.
One thing that about this nighttime scene that I thought was very interesting is well, I mean, kind of throughout the show in general, we get a ton, and I mean like a ton of verbiage relating to like demons and the devil and all sorts of things. And I don't know if it was Pietro or Wanda, because the kids go back to trick or treating after they come back and they say, "Oh, so and so's got full size candy bars." And we're gonna go get it, and when they leave, they basically that's when Wanda gives the instructions not to go past El's Ave, and I'm pretty sure it's Pietro that says, unleash hell, demon spawn, or something like that.
Oh yeah,
Which is really weird, especially preceding, the reveal of dead Quicksilver, um, who kind of looks like Nightmare, if I'm being honest. But but yeah, there's a lot of that, and I just wanted to mention that.
we have not talked about the sword part either. That's a big part of this episode too.
Yep.
We get a
Just few
lot of
things
swords.
before. Like
Hayward.
before the conversation was happened,
Yeah,
I
there's
think that's when we learned how they were tracking Vision. Because Hayward was keeping those secrets when Darcy was hacking into the mainframe.
Hayward. We understand is not telling everybody the truth, and he's keeping a lot of stuff to his own personal agenda, and no one else knows why or what he's doing, or this man has infinite firewalls or something.
He's hiding a lot. He knows more than what he should at this point.
And we also find out that going into and out of Westview changes your molecular structure.
That's very key.
Monica
I
has
think
been
honestly,
in and out, and she's not the same person apparently, blood-wise.
I think that's how they might bring in mutants into the MCU by rewriting the DNA.
If we
Like
get,
that's just my theory.
if
What's
we
going to
get
happen?
If we do Herb as Beast, dude, I'm all
Right?
for it. I'm all for it.
Beast Herb.
Herb with the afro as Beast. Let's go.
Well, we do know that Wanda eventually gets superpowers. She becomes Spectrum, and
Monica.
Monica's.
what?
You said a Wanda?
You said Wanda gains powers, but you.
Oh, my bad.
It's okay.
Yeah, so I mean, we do know that Monica eventually does get superpowers in the comic books, at least, and they have to do with energy, and converting like her own body into energy and things like that. And I'm kind of wondering if maybe this is how that starts.
I
It
mean,
could be.
like they said, her X-rays her brain scans weren't right. her blood isn't right. It's nothing's the same since she got pulled in.
And something's going to happen to everyone else too, like everyone else in the hex. Like if it's
Mm-hmm.
happening to her, it might as well happen with everyone else.
But she's left multiple times, and she has the desire to go back in.
She's only left
she
once.
said, so does Jimmy Woo. Huh?
She left once, right?
That's something that confused me when they said in the episode, because they said that she left multiple times, but I thought she only left one time.
Let me think. So she
got sucked in at the beginning, but with where the cops were, and then she got kicked out by Wanda. So she's only been in there once, and only left once.
Yeah, that was
That's
confusing
true.
the episode, because they said that she was in there multiple times. So maybe that's another continuity.
Maybe they meant she was in different episode. I don't know what that would even mean.
Yeah, that was only strange. I have to give it another rewatch to confirm that, but
Yeah,
I remember thinking that when I watched the episode.
I was thinking that too, but I was just like, oh yeah, she's been in twice. But
Yeah,
no, she was not.
that's true because Wanda kicked her out once, and she hasn't been back in since.
Now she plans on going back in, if that's what I mean, but it hasn't happened.
She does plan to go back in, and we also we and with her going back in. Before that, we get a brief argument between Monica and Hayward, where he's basically saying like, you're consistently making excuses and arguing on the behalf of superpowered people, which I thought was interesting because I wonder like what is his gripe with superpowered people. Like I understand from the perspective of Sword and like federal agencies,
and also the Sokovian Accord.
Yep.
Yeah. Where he's like, okay, cool, like Wanda is a superpowered terrorist, whatever. Like you could make that argument, right? But he doesn't say Wanda, he doesn't say terrorist, he says superpowered people. And then he brings
he said terrorist
Monica.
last week, remember?
Yep.
He did say terrorist last week, but
so
he's
already called her a terrorist, and he's just furthering his hate.
But he's furthering his hate specifically towards superpowered people, and then brings up Monica's affiliation with Carol Danvers.
Yeah. Which is probably leading up for a sequel of Captain Marvel, where we're gonna figure out something.
Well, maybe he's just jelly because he doesn't have superpowers,
It could be that too. Maybe he'll start the Sentinel program.
Oh, is he Trask? Is this who he is?
Could be.
He's anti-Peter Dinklage Trask.
Yeah, Loki.
No, Loki's coming out next year.
No, God.
I mean, Loki might be in Westview. Who even knows, dude? He's everywhere, apparently.
We don't know. But yeah, after that, we Monica and Jimmy make the plan to go inside, and
what is this?
Darcy.
This is when they hack in. No,
Darcy.
They kicked off the base first.
What?
They're kicked out of the base.
Yeah, they were kicked out of the base. Jimmy and Monica beat some ass. Jimmy Woo is stronger than the average sword agent. Confirmed. The FBI's got some skills.
He has the Pop Smoke Woo in him, man.
And Darcy's like, why am I left out of the plan? Which Darcy's been left out of a lot of things until the end of this show. But I
mean, she's also not like. I don't think she's a brawler. She's a nerd.
She's not, but she could have. I was gonna say she could splash some hot coffee on someone's face really quick. But they steal things, and then we get to what we were just talking about. Darcy's hacking into the mainframe, like Best Buy, Walmart, laptop section, saying I'm in. But she doesn't say she's in. But she does say that she's got to get past the firewall because that's very high tech. And
we have multiple firewalls.
Multiple firewalls. He does have more than one. I'll give Sword that.
He's like
and
he's got a Vast and Norton.
Say what?
He's got a Vast and Norton firewall.
Yes. And then we finally get, of course, Hayward's been hiding a bunch of stuff, which we're not shocked at all. And
We also don't see it either.
huh?
We don't see any of it. We just know he's tracking
No,
vision.
that is the one thing that we are confirmed to see. That and what we previously mentioned, which was that Hayward has Monica and Jimmy's blood samples.
Yes, Jimmy's. I didn't even know that. He's Jimmy's blood.
He had two. I want to say he had Jimmy's.
I'm pretty sure he has everybody's blood. He's just a blood collector. He's a vampire.
Ah,
Oh,
Blade's coming in. I don't know, man.
But then they make the plan to go back in. Monica says that, she knows what Wanda's going through and she wants to help her. And that, I've seen all kinds of blood samples, blood remission, and a little cancer thing. And then they make the plan to go back inside. And after that, then we get Vision's second look at weird shit going
And
on.
how are they getting in, Terrell?
How?
How are they getting in?
How are they getting in?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what they said.
They have a contact.
How?
They have an engineer contact on the bridge
An hour away.
who has some sort of vehicle for them.
Yep.
Yeah, it's Reed Richards.
It's either Reed or Ironheart. It has to be.
One of them two.
I did see a meme today on Facebook where it's like, what if it was Reed Richards as John Krasinski, and him and Jimmy are like, whoa, you it's so beautiful. He's like, oh, you were beautiful. Coming back from the Office episode where Jim is Asian Jim.
I'd be super down for Reed Richards. There has to be, what was it, like 2 weeks ago we said that, there's, Elizabeth Olsen said that there's going to be a cameo bigger than Luke Skywalker and the Mandalorian, and it can't be Evan Peters. Like, Evan Peters is cool, don't get me wrong, but it's not bigger than that. The only two I could think of that would be that big are Reed Richards or Magneto. And we're getting a ton of references to Magneto, and we're getting a ton of references to Reed Richards. And I'd be thrilled with one. I would love to have both. I feel like that's a little bit greedy because I'm a Magneto fan. Yeah. But I would love for this engineer, because they said we have an aerospace contact, and we have an engineer contact, and both of those fit Reed Richards. We have the introduction of CMBR. And so for someone to really understand how to access an area with CMBR effectively, it has to be Reed Richards.
There's a YouTube channel called Mr. Sunday Movies. I've been watching him for years. I don't know if you guys have ever seen him. He's a really funny guy. Him and his co-host do a little show about WandaVision, kind of like what we're doing, but way better. And they said about the Luke Skywalker size cameo, they said, what if it's just Luke Skywalker? And he just shows up. And he's like, I'm here for the kids. Let's go. I mean,
the kids did just show up, so.
I mean, he has Grogu with him. He's like, hey, man, let's go, dude. Let's get out of here.
They're building a new order.
Westview is not for you, man. Jedi Temple is where it's at. Don't tell Kylo Ren. Yeah, no. I thought that was hilarious when I saw that your video the other day. But yeah, we did Vision going through some visions. He sees some weird stuff.
He's walking through
to wake up Agnes. Then he sees her in the street. Like just standing, sitting in the car.
He flies up into space.
He sheds his costume.
Yeah, he transforms back to normal. He flies up, and he's like, "There's just one car with headlights, and that's it. Just stopped at a stop sign for an uncomfortably long amount of time." Yeah, what were you saying, John?
Oh, I was just gonna say what you were saying. How that she sees the car, he flies down, sees that it was Agnes, saying that she got lost in a town that she grew up in because she was trying to find, I guess it was the Center City Spectacular or something.
And as we know, it's not really that big of a town. Not yet, but we do know it's not that big. It's just Westview, New Jersey. fictional
Only a
place.
few streets.
Hoboken, New Jersey.
Hoboken, New Jersey, the greatest city on earth. But
And then he wakes her up, and she starts saying that he was dead, and if she was dead, but then she kept repeating the words "dead" even though she was woken up, and then she started cackling like a witch, which makes me think, who could she be?
She's also wearing a witch costume.
Yeah,
She was wearing a witch costume as well.
and she's
And
also
birthday.
let's see, on witch trial is her anniversary.
Yep.
But
The day of the
she also says you're an adventurer, and he's like, "What's that?" like,
what the fuck is an Avenger?
yeah, I don't kill people.
Remember, he has no memories from before Westview.
He knows
That's all he knows.
literally nothing. Like, she could have said, "Hey, Tony Stark made you," and he's like, "He sounds like a scumbag." He doesn't want to be. I don't want to be his friend. Like, he has no idea of anything. He doesn't. All he knows is Wanda and Westview. That's all he's ever known, apparently, in his life.
Yep.
But she drives away. She turns around, just keeps driving, and then we get one of the most interesting scenes we've ever gotten in WandaVision so far, which is the Vision attempt to break out scene.
Yes.
Vision goes to the barrier. He finds the barrier, first of all, and he's like, he doesn't even phase through it. He like rips himself through it. Like it was painful the way he like gets in there. And then we see the aftermath of how painful it is to him.
It's just like trying to pull him back in. It's like a struggle to take new steps.
He gets in there. They see there's a perimeter breach. Of course, Darcy and Jimmy and Monica are tracking Vision of Hayward's files and stuff. So they know where he is. They know he's breaching. And all the guards show up. Everyone shows up. Like, every character from S.W.O.R.D. is there. And they're like, he's just trying to break out. And he's trying to get the message across that there are people in there who need help and that, save them. And then we find out that he's going to get almost killed at this point. If you want to talk about that, Terrell.
Yeah, well, his body starts shredding apart. Darcy runs to the perimeter and starts panicking about, like, why aren't you guys helping
You gotta help him, yeah.
And at this time, Billy awakens his powers. We love that. And he just stops Tommy dead in his tracks. And
that was sick. Because he's moving at the speed of sound. He's like, he's got to.
Yeah. Which is funny. We do get confirmation that Tommy does move with the speed of sound. He breaks the sound barrier because earlier Wanda says, if you're going to break the sound barrier, at least take your brother with you. So we do know that he is faster than the speed of sound.
Nerd.
And allegedly. But he stops Tommy dead in his tracks. You can hear Vision's voice in his head, and he calls out to Wanda for, to help. Basically saying, like, Dad is in trouble and he needs our help.
He also sees the soldier. He sees what Vision sees.
Yes. Yeah, which is sick, honestly. The kid has insane abilities. And Wanda starts to panic and asks, where is your dad? Like, you need to tell me. And Pietro makes a very stupid decision by saying, oh, what, your dead husband can't die twice. And she claps his ass.
Now, it was noted, she doesn't go full power.
No.
Because she could have Monica'd him out of the dimension. Out of Westview. But she doesn't. She keeps him in there. So she is restrained and keeping him in.
She's restrained, but I think she also does have at least somewhat knows that he's either she didn't bring him there and she did see that he was dead, or, it's alluded to that he's dead. So I think she knows, right? Like, she knows, like, okay, if Vision is going to leave, he's going to die. If I blast Pietro out of here, he's probably going to fucking die. So I think that, there's a couple of things. It's a silly argument between siblings, but also she wants to hurt him, but she doesn't want to kill him or kick his ass out of there because she doesn't know.
She doesn't understand him, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But then, we see some more clips of S.W.O.R.D. Hayward shackles Darcy to a vehicle, and
Was it
she's
Hayward
like,
or
"Are
was
you
it not?
kidding?
It was an officer, I think.
You sure?"
Hayward was in the front lines.
I think it was an officer.
Yeah, it was just a random officer. Just he just ran past her when he was instead of launching her, he ran past her later on.
It's the
The
douchebag.
important thing is that
It
she's
really doesn't matter.
restrained.
She is now stuck to
Yeah,
a car, which will become important later.
and then we get probably my favorite scene in the whole fucking series so far, because again, I'm a Scarlet Witch stan, but her eyes go red. She actually stops everybody.
She freezes time.
She freezes everybody in the CMBR, and then goes full blown like Scarlet Witch mode and starts to expand the perimeter of Westview, which is so fucking sick.
So to grab Vision mostly, protect Vision. She's not
in
doing
an
it
effort
to do anything
keep
else. She wants
Vision
to
in
keep him.
CMBR.
Just trying to say
Which
too.
tells you, because she told Pietro, I don't know how I did this. I was just confused or whatever, and blah blah blah. Bullshit. because she just says, yeah, I'm gonna need y'all to stop real quick, and then she expands the perimeter. It's so sick, in an effort to keep Vision inside. Now I don't know. I doubt that she knows how far Vision got outside of it. Not very far, but she expands it a ton. And starts to basically, the perimeter starts to take in all of Sword and expands beyond that.
Into the forest too, and everything.
Yeah, into the forest and everything, and it's on the edge of Monica and Jimmy's vehicle as they're racing away down this bridge, probably assumedly to their engineer contact.
And Hayward is also almost sucked in, but he's not.
Yep.
He's not.
Close call.
And I think the funniest thing here, and I think she probably does it as like a joke, but she turns Sword into clowns.
The soldiers, yeah.
Yep.
But
big circus.
Most importantly, Darcy was still stuck to that truck. So now Darcy is in Westview.
Darcy gets to be a part of the show finally.
But keep in mind, she's never going to be the same after this as of her molecular structure. So are we seeing potentially Darcy gain some sort of powers from this? Possibly, I don't know. But like, it's definitely not. Like, if it affected Monica, she's, as we know, she's been in there once and out once, as we confirmed. What's it to do to Darcy? Is eventually she's gonna leave, I assume, or she's gonna get broken out or something. But she won't be the same.
Well, the thing is, there's no way everybody in there becomes a mutant, right? I mean, like, it's just
there's no that's
out of the realm of possibility. Huh?
There's no like major cast. If they're gonna do mutants that way, they're gonna want to have some big names in there. And so far,
well, I mean, you're gonna have
big name
potentially.
Neighbors.
You would potentially have Spectrum, which would probably be the biggest one. But other than that, I mean, not that it's out of the realm of possibility, because comic-wise, Scarlet Witch is capable of creating mutants and also decimating entire populations of mutants. So, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but if anybody's going to get it, it's going to be Monica. And if there would be multiple, then you could say Darcy, potentially.
Yeah.
Yep.
If the MCU wanted to go in a different direction.
But as we see,
where they can go.
All of Sword is now sucked in. What are you saying, John?
I was just saying that's one way they could go.
Oh yeah, that's one possibility. And they have infinite possibilities at this point.
There really is now.
But yeah, all of those. This is not the Sword HQ. This is a Sword camp. They all get sucked in, turned into Carnival stuff.
Sword.
Yeah.
And most of the Sword agents were caught up in it too, because I remember Hayward tried to contact somebody on the radio, and they were the only ones left.
Yeah, Hayward. The only known survivors of this, well, not survivors. The only known escapees are Hayward in his car with two people, and two, not important people, and then Jimmy and Monica. Those are the only people that we know actually did not get pulled into Westview
so far. Well, she did stop at the end of the episode. So
yeah, that's all. Those are the only known people that we know actually are not affected right now.
Yeah,
but I mean, if she did that like that easily. Like who knows how far it could go, and that's if she ever does it again to take over like the whole state of New Jersey. I don't know.
House of M, baby.
The whole Earth, the
City of
universe.
M, state of M.
House of no, the house is all of the United States, right? So,
Oh, is it?
House
I
of
didn't realize
M. Well, what? No. Well, I mean, House of M. She wipes out the vast majority of the population.
Yep.
Right, but is it the world
Basically,
or the
that's
U.S.?
Huh?
Is it the world or the U.S.?
The whole world.
Yeah.
Okay.
They set mutants as the top, like, dominant figures in like the world.
Magneto's wet dream.
Yep.
But yeah, that's basically the whole episode, really.
Yep. And that's how the episode ends. It cuts back to
Once
Wanda.
again, to the
like,
worst ending possible. What were you saying, John?
I know. I was hoping that it would just go a little bit. I was hoping we could have one episode without. I don't know what. How many credits? It was like fucking 8 minutes of credits on the end.
It's always 8 minutes of credits. And I always look through, like, a scroll through to see if there's an extra end scene, but there never is.
Yeah, hurts my feelings. I was hoping we could just get even like 30 more seconds of this episode because the ending is just so insane. It shows Wanda does know what she's doing. We really are starting to get something that's at least somewhat indicative of how powerful she is because people are realizing, okay, like Wanda's no joke, right? Like we knew it in Endgame when she almost 1v1 Thanos. We knew it in, if you're
She destroyed the Mind Stone.
Huh?
She destroyed the Mind Stone.
She destroyed the Mind Stone. And then the other thing is, I'm almost wondering if maybe this is somewhat possible because of the Mind Stone, because Vision has the power to basically wake people up and put them back to sleep, right?
Yeah, no one else can do that we know of.
I mean, not that we know of. I mean, it is a hex, right? So, like, it is a hex, so it could be Scarlet Witch, but, like, does the Mind Stone have something to do with it? Does it not? Not that, again, we're starting to realize what a lot of people are starting to see now how powerful Wanda is. She's totally capable of doing this on her own. I'm just wondering if maybe
Don't say it. Don't say it.
What? No, I wasn't gonna say it. I'll get to theories. I'll get to theories in a second.
But yeah, that was basically the whole episode. Ends up the main villain of the show is the Please Stand By credits. Worst part. Definitely gonna move forward, and he's gonna kill Kane the Conqueror. He's gonna kill Thanos Jr. Those credits are literally the worst thing known to man. Every time something crazy happens, like, no, you're gonna wait.
Can't have that moment.
I was just saying, just like a few seconds more would just be so much. Just be so nice. And nope, it's
just give me a taste of what happens afterward. Just give me fucking anything.
Like,
just
give me a next week on WandaVision.
Well,
yeah, give me next
week. We'll
get
into that later, because there are those on the internet. But that's how Trell and I knew some of the stuff that was going to happen this episode. Just minor stuff.
A little.
So, I mean, we talked about
it was not the direction that I expected. Even having seen some of the leaks from this episode, it's still like it tells you a little bit about what's going on.
But there's no context to even piece it together until you watch it.
Yeah, it doesn't hold a candle to when you actually watch it.
Like, I saw the scene of Pietro saying, "Oh, your dead brother, dead husband," and then he just blasted. And I saw a Vision try to escape, like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, "Oh, I don't even know where does this even fit in at?" And then I watched it, and I'm like, "It's actually crazy." Watching it now, like, even knowing what's gonna happen, I'm like, "Don't want man Vision to die like a million times." That was my favorite character. But yeah, that was the whole episode. Really, was it the longest episode or second longest? Do we know?
I think it's the second.
Yeah,
because
like
the longest episode was the episode where they got.
Yeah, which also, interesting enough, there wasn't any WandaVision credits or anything. The show literally went to serious mode. Like, it was no longer a show at the end. It was, because most episodes kind of end with like a little happy ending, a little sign off from the characters. But nope, this one is just like to be continued, basically.
Yep.
And really good episode. Probably, I guess that they just get better and better. It seems like there's no stopping it. It's like I was telling I think I was telling somebody yesterday, maybe it was John. Like the Mandalorian, everyone agrees that there is one bad Mandalorian episode, one not good Mandalorian episode, and that would be the one with the sniper.
Yep.
Everyone says like, "Hey, that one's kind of lame," but it brings in a Fennec, who's going to be a main character in a spinoff. But like that was it. That's all it did, and also introduced Boba Fett, but his foot. But like that's it. That's all. There was like one least favorite episode. As of now, every episode of WandaVision, while it may not be as interesting early on or action packed or like revealing, they all serve a purpose, and they're all like, if you were to rate them on a scale, I've seen like IGN and Rotten Tomatoes and all that. The score has only gone up every episode. Like this started at like an 8, and now every episode is at least a 9 or a 10.
Because the story is very engaging. It's like some of the best storytelling they've done in the MCU.
And it's because we have time. This is what, if we were to do it as a movie, let's say the movie's 2.5 hours. That's like what, 5-6 episodes? We would have been done by now. This would have been the end of the movie. We would have been waiting for 2 or 3 more years for a sequel. Now we have 3 more weeks of stories of episodes.
Yeah, even if this was a film, and from the beginning to now, like if it just stopped here, like it'd be a solid ending to a movie. The only question would be like, okay, who's like that? Who's the villain, right? Like that's the only thing that's missing. Is like, okay, like is Hayward the villain? Kind of. He's like a red herring villain potentially.
Don't say it.
That's the only thing we're missing.
Don't say that man. Don't say that man's name.
So getting into theory.
But yeah, do you have anything else to say about this episode before you're into the future?
Banger. My second favorite yet. On par with the first.
I thought it was a good episode. One thing that we didn't touch on was when Vision did leave and he was getting pulled back in. It wasn't his dead body that went through, because parts of him was getting pulled off and you didn't see like his body. You just saw those like white or yellow flashes rather. So does that mean that it's not actually his body and it's just like a projection of it? That's the only thing that I found it super interesting.
Yeah,
because I was under the assumption that it was just like his dead body, and Wanda was just like using her magic just to make it appear that he was alive.
Well, as we remember with Monica, what goes in comes out different.
But Vision doesn't have blood or organs.
No. I mean like her outfit in the drone they sent in. Like Vision went in dead, but he came out alive. I don't think Wanda's power breaks through past that barrier, except for the drone. Oh, that's another thing. The drone from last episode has Star Witch's signature, like, trail, like power trail on it. The red.
But Monica's clothes came out. Monica's 70s clothes came out, and they were perfectly okay.
Yeah. So I try. It's weird to figure out what's actually comes out, what's actually real, and what's like what comes out the same, what's different. Yeah. But Vision,
but
did
you also
alive.
But you also have to take into account like the Mind Stone.
That's what I was gonna say. I think something because there was that yellow glow in there. It could be some influence from the Mind Stone itself, as to why Vision is still able to be semi-independent from Wanda.
Yeah,
but I mean, we'll have all these questions answered.
We'll have all these questions answered in the next couple of weeks. Yes,
but that'll wrap up the main story part of.
Well, the other thing we didn't mention.
Wait, what do you have?
Was how fucked up that commercial was.
Oh yeah.
That commercial seemingly not a reference to anything we've seen before. We know of. There's no sharks in the MC. There's no Shark Man or Teen Shark yet.
I thought it was because the yogurt was called Yo Magic, and without the magic, that means that the boy is dead
Vision.
because the boy
Vision's
couldn't open it up.
I mean, all the other ones have been like obvious, like, oh, this is Hydra, this is Lagos, this is whatever, this is Tony Stark. This one's just like, yeah, he's gonna die. Rip.
Yep.
No link to any real thing, no reference. Like,
Very
Nothing
grim.
subconsciously, other
I
than
think-
it just being the source of magic.
The only thing I could possibly think is, the boy is either Vision or maybe even Pietro. That's it. I mean, that's the only thing. But it would be interesting to see, because I haven't read up on too many analyses.
Analyzes.
Analyzes of the commercial, but I have seen people definitely say, okay, well, like maybe Vision's the boy. He'll die without Wanda's magic. That's the only thing that to me makes sense right now. That's kind of what I was thinking. Is I was like, okay, it's Yo Magic. Shark, I don't know. Shark's a dude, so like, I don't know.
I just was getting the 90s vibe commercials because I don't know if you ever think back, those are like exactly like the kind of commercials we used to see, like with Capri Sun and all those like Sunny Delight commercials.
Yes.
Like Hawaiian Punch.
Yeah.
Geez, even fucking 2000s Caprice, not Apple Jacks, right?
Right?
Oh yeah. But yeah, I think we're gonna stop the story talk there. I think we covered every beat mostly of that episode. Unless there's anything else you want to say about the story before we go into theories and future.
No,
I think that covers the story. Yep.
All
We
right.
did a good job there.
Any theories? Any future directions you guys see here?
I did notice, like, during the scene when the twins were talking about the full-size candy bars when they were exiting the movie theater, the movies that were playing were The Incredibles and The Parent Trap.
yeah.
So I thought it might be talking about stuff happening in the future, like it's a superhero family like The Incredibles, and The Parent Trap, maybe the twins are going to be what's holding Wanda and Vision together. That's just the theories that I'm having.
I didn't even
Something
notice
involving
that.
the twins. Yeah, that's just what I'm thinking.
Or do we? The parents are literally trapped. Wanda and Vision are
true.
literally trapped here under someone else's control. Don't say the name, Trail. Don't do it. I know it's coming.
Well,
I know it's coming.
I think he has a lot of influence in it, though. I'm not going to say the M word, but when Wanda was talking to Pietro about like where like this all came from, she said it came from a pit of nothingness. So maybe she didn't know that she could do these kind of things with her powers, and then maybe someone showed her how to do it or influenced her in some way,
Like a witch.
Well,
like a witch.
I mean,
Or a demon.
A witch or a certain demon.
So yeah, I'm just gonna say it, right? Yeah, I don't think Evan Peters is who he says he is. I highly doubt Pietro is who he says he is. Part of it is the inconsistency with obviously the casting. We know that it's like a cool cameo and it's like fun for the fans, but I think it serves a double purpose in terms of storytelling. But yeah, dude, I am, like I said last week. I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm in on the Mephisto thing anymore.
Oh, you said the word. We've gone an hour and 4 minutes.
But I am. I'm in on it, right? Because he says, okay, cool, like raise hell, demon spawn, and all sorts of things. There's consistent references to the devil from the first episode, and in the comic books, right? Like Mephisto was introduced by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee for a couple of, I think just Stan Lee, not Jack Kirby. Maybe Jack Kirby had a part in it. I don't remember. But as a way to like subtly bring religion into Marvel, but not necessarily, because there was a lot of regulation religion and sex and things like that in comic books in the 60s and 70s. But Mephisto is not the devil, but he thinks he like plays the part of it. He thinks he is. And I think that him referring to the children as demon spawn, and then episode 1 where they say the devil's in the details, but that's not the only place he is, and things like that. I just think he is. The other theory that has kind of come up a little bit to me is the possibility of Evan Peters playing Nightmare, and this kind of being a way to bring Nightmare into the MCU, because Nightmare is a villain of Doctor Strange, and we know that like Nightmare is the main antagonist of Doctor Strange for the next film at least, but that he is an adversary of Doctor Strange, and that we know Wanda's going to be in the next Doctor Strange film.
She's the co-star.
And I think, and he also, when they show Pietro dead, he's kind of reminiscent of Nightmare too. Not exactly, but he almost kind of looks like,
with the hair and all
if you
that?
take on the meme of like, level 1 grunt, level 99 crime boss, it's like he's like a level 1 grunt of like Nightmare. And so I think that that's another possibility too. Mephisto and Nightmare. Or Nightmare for, Evan Peters as a character. The other theory I still am full blown on with the Agatha as Agnes is Agatha Harkness. I mean, there's the name thing. There's her, the anniversary of the Salem witch trial, and then also
no Ralph at all.
No
Episodes,
husband,
no Ralph.
Still no husband that we can see, but she's mentioned it multiple times. And then we have the whole aspect with she's dressed up as a witch in her car. She laughs maniacally like a witch. All sorts of things. And then also, I don't think that this is a major part of it. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but also, again, her interest in the kids in the earlier episodes. I think it's just really, I think a lot of things are starting to tie together now. And I think next week's going to be a big week in terms of reveals.
I do think it is weird that they put Agnes in. What'd you say?
I said also Reed Richards.
Maybe. They put Agnes in the main credits for, is that the first time they've done that? It's always just been Wanda and Vision. Right? And then the kids. But they put Agnes in, and she was barely even in the episode when they put Pietro in now.
Because she was in as herself. Everybody plays themselves, right? Like look at the opening scene. You have the Vision. Evan, or what does it say? I think it says
Pietro.
Evan. What the fuck is his name? Pietro Maximoff as himself. Yep. Wanda Maximoff as herself. Agatha wasn't in the opening, but she actually, for the first time in the whole series, appeared as herself and not as Agatha. And so I think that's maybe why.
I got a message comment on Twitch. The aerospace engineer is probably Boo Marvel. Are you familiar with that?
Blue Marvel?
I'm not familiar with that.
With a what?
The aerospace engineer could be Boo Marvel.
I have heard that.
The name is familiar. I'm just not familiar with this character.
So, Blue Marvel is basically... I mean, he's almost... So he debuted in, I want to say, Adam, Legend of the Blue Marvel. I mean, I've heard that a little bit. I haven't looked at it a lot. I have heard people theorize that he could appear in episode 7. I don't know. But I'd be curious to hear like why he thinks that, because Blue Marvel, does he have anything to do with CNBR?
I've actually never. I've heard of the name. All right, if you want to come here and watch us next week, and if it's Blue Marvel, I mean, you called it, man. You called it, Mr. The New Zoo. He's calling the Blue Marvel as aerospace engineer. That's our official.
I mean, I think that Blue Marvel would be more interesting to introduce in I mean, we have so many moving parts already, right? Like, I could see Blue Marvel potentially being introduced like during a Fantastic Four storyline, and then having, if they wanted to bring Blue Marvel into it, that he could be introduced in like a Fantastic Four storyline, and then we could have like a Blue Marvel and Anti Man like spinoff, like debut film for him.
I mean,
to, like, show up.
I also want to sound like the person of logic here. Uh, that if that's true, if it were to be someone Blue Marvel, that would be the third Marvel character that we're gonna have. We're gonna have Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, Blue Marvel. I mean, just thinking logically here, that'd be very confusing for like someone to talk to like their parents about. Like, hey, do you want to see that Marvel movie? Which one? What are you talking about?
Oh my gosh. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, he would be super badass. So because Blue Marvel he's a veteran. He was in the Korean War. He has insane powers. He was a part of Project Perseus, which was basically an attempt to harvest antimatter. So like he is an engineer. That's very true. And he does eventually become an Avenger. But the reason why I'm more so keen to hear it's like see him introduced in Fantastic Four is because he has a very deep history with Reed Richards and Doctor Doom. So I think the time to introduce him would be after Reed Richards. Like Reed Richards has to come in first, and then we would have to like have the Richards, because we don't know if Reed Richards comes in if he has his powers or not. I'd assume probably not. I think that even now that I'm thinking about the effect that CMBR would have on blood, right? Like we were talking about, well, I was talking about, okay, maybe this is how Monica Rambeau becomes Spectrum, right? I think that it could be a bigger setup to, okay, cool, here's how we're going to introduce Reed Richards. We've already put in there that CMBR, we know, changes DNA. It's confirmed here. And we also know that that's how the Fantastic Four gets their powers. So the Richards have to get their powers first. And then after, I think it would be a really good time to bring in Blue Marvel if they wanted to do that. I didn't even think that Blue Marvel could be introduced in the MCU, but I think that'd be fucking sick.
Also trying to sound
plus another black superhero, John Boyega. Boy, come on.
Do it. Yeah.
Thinking about reasonable stuff here, I do think that we don't want to get too many characters involved that we aren't really familiar with as, like, you know what I mean? Like we're getting a Fantastic Four movie, so yeah, introduce Fantastic Four early. Introduce introduce one of them. You don't have to do all of them. Just do one of them. It could even be Johnny Storm. Wasn't he also like an engineer or something?
I thought he was.
He was more of like a mechanic, wasn't he?
He was a race car driver.
He wasn't an engineer. Who was he working with? He was working underneath someone, depending on which story you read.
Yeah. Also, I mean, at this point,
you know what? Johnny Storm also had not a relationship, but he was also connected to Mephisto. Actually, he was originally Johnny Storm struck a deal with Mephisto.
Okay, but at the same time, we're getting Ironheart with who do we? I mean, think about it this way. It's Monica's contact, right?
Yeah.
Ironheart is around 15 normally, right? She's a teen, typically.
Yeah, it's not.
So, just to throw this out there, Monica's been gone for 5 years. Ironheart would be like 10 if she wasn't blipped. So like even then, it's a little iffy. They can do it, but she'll be like, she would have met really young, and maybe she wasn't doing anything yet. And for her to be like a 15-year-old engineer that she's in contact with, that to like build, because I don't know if you guys have seen the trailers for next half of the season, but
I have.
You have?
Yep.
Troy, you've seen the trailer that was on TV?
For what?
For WandaVision, this half of the
second
season.
half.
I saw it once.
They have a truck. It's at a special truck.
Yep.
Like a super military truck tank. That's what is built. Ironheart probably doesn't specialize in that. She's more of an Iron Man successor. I mean, I don't think there's gonna be. I don't think she's even. It would have made sense of a 15-year-old building this giant tank. Let's be honest here.
Exactly.
But
What?
Reed Richards, like, maybe he already has his powers. We don't know.
I
He
think
could
it's either
just-
going to be Reed Richards or Doctor Doom. That's my prediction.
Oh, Dr. Doom was a good
Dr.
one.
Doom could be one.
That's a good
I
one.
think Dr. Doom would be cool.
Because what if he already has his powers? It doesn't. He just. He builds itself.
Because he was
Like,
smart
doesn't have
before he
to-
had his powers. That's the thing.
He doesn't. I mean,
He was an engineer.
I know, but what if he even have? What if he even has like just a hint of power? He just built it himself. He doesn't need help. He's a one-man machine.
Well, the thing is, like, so Ironheart was like the youngest graduate from MIT and all sorts of things, and it's like, I think, is Ironheart an engineer per se? Like, she has definitely expansive knowledge of like robotics and things like that,
And armor.
but yeah, and like, well, I mean, she was introduced in Armor Wars, so I don't know that she would be it. Now, am I for like Black Girl Magic? Like, absolutely, like that'd be cool. But I think it's a lot more likely that it's Reed Richards. I mean, the more I think about Blue Marvel, the more I'm like, okay, it's a possibility. I still don't think it's it, because we haven't gotten into antimatter, because that's like,
I mean,
Blue
we just got
Marvel's
the quantum realm and time travel.
exactly. We just got the
So-
quantum realm. We're just getting CMBR. I can't see anybody other than Reed Richards.
But you
Mhm.
know, it
But this is WandaVision. You know, it could be.
it could be
fucking-
it could be nobody important, and we would all just be stupid.
Yep.
I mean, literally. I mean, bro. At this point, it could be fucking.
It's
It
going to be
could
Shuri.
be.
Shuri's her
It
son.
could. That would be sick. It could be. At this point, I wouldn't be shocked, right? But I'd be hype, no matter who it is. No matter who it is,
Yeah,
I know it's gonna
who
be
it
hype.
is. It's Mubatu. He's here with the
Mubatu.
giant club.
He's an engineer.
He's
Yeah, he's an
like-
agricultural
He's
engineer.
like, hey, sure he
He's
taught
an
me a few
agriculture-
things.
He's like, look, only one thing can stand up to CMBR, and he just like fucking pats his rhino or some shit. Like,
His CGI rhino. He's like,
But he
"This
also
baby
rejects
can ride this for
technology.
miles."
but he also rejects technology.
I'm
Right,
just
like,
saying, it
he's
could
a-
be somebody we don't even expect, or even know, or even matter. It could just be like, I don't.
a
WandaVision
dude.
is so.
It's going to be that boy Iron Man helped in Iron Man 3. That's her contact.
Oh,
I mean,
I mean, hold on.
It could be Iron Kid. It could be Pepper.
Yeah.
I don't think it's Pepper, but
No, it's
no. What was that kid's name?
who?
I don't
Iron-
remember.
Little,
Kid?
little Iron Man from Iron Man 3. What was it, Hunter?
Iron Man 3, no name.
Was it Hunter?
Iron Kid's name is. Oh, he has a couple.
What's the
names.
one from Iron Man 3? What's that kid's name? Since that's an established canon.
His name is Harley.
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 It could be. I mean,
be
like they've been going back to the Iron Man. Like, remember when they were like, "Oh, Tom Holland was an Iron Man too." Yeah, he was. That was him. He was a Spider Man.
And they brought
Like-
back that kid for Endgame.
He was at the funeral, so they didn't forget about him. But keep in mind, he's also young. Monica may not really have known him. Samantha's probably in her.
Well, she's had an actual career. She's had an actual career with established professionals.
But I mean, we've been talking about just read who it is for 20 minutes. It could be anybody. We're gonna
And,
find
well,
out.
and then you also bring
We're
in
gonna
like
find
the
out.
cancer thing, and yeah, it's got to be Reed Richards. If it's even, here's the thing: even if we're right and it is Reed Richards, my mind would be fucking blown regardless. I'll
You
just
say
be
what?
like, oh shit! I said, even if it is Reed Richards, like my mind will be blown
Oh
either
yeah.
way, just because I'll be like, dang, like Reed Richards was my boy for the longest time as a
Mhm.
kid.
There's also
Reed
gonna be-
Richards, Silver Surfer, Galactus, all of that.
I'm thinking about this. That could be the epic cameo that they're talking, or the epic portions cameo, like what do you call it? Showing a Fantastic Four member with literally no hints at who it could be. and then it's just like, oh yeah, by the way, it's John Krasinski. You guys got it right. Like that would be crazy. Like I don't know if you guys know Raul Coley. Are you familiar with him from iZombie and
Yeah.
Bly Manor? He's one of my favorite actors. I used to watch him on Funhouse all the time on YouTube. He has been petitioning to be Reed Richards for a long time, and I'm all for it. However, thinking about John Krasinski, Emily Blunt is his wife.
Yeah.
That can't like that's just too perfect, right?
Mhm.
You have John Krasinski as Reed Richards and Emily Blunt as Sue Storm. It doesn't get any much easier than that. Like
Right.
it's literally just these. That marriage was made for this. You know, like it's too simple.
She also wore, because I'm Googling this, let's see, she wore, I guess, a Avengers inspired Fantastic Four costume last year.
But I mean, like I said, it could be anybody. It could be somebody we haven't even thought of, or has that is first time being introduced. I mean, they have made. I mean, they've made some original characters by now, haven't they? Like Jimmy Woo's an original. I would
Jimmy
think.
Woo is
Darcy's
original.
I think.
I don't.
I'm
I
not
could be wrong.
familiar.
I mean, they're not major characters of MC. They're not like big names. In my opinion.
No,
don't think that they've
she
made it.
actually is not original.
Oh.
I thought she was, but that's interesting.
I mean, she's just not that well known. I mean, it could be somebody just not well known. Is what I'm trying to get at. It could just be literally anybody, and we're gonna find out. I mean, it has to be next week. It has to be. We have 3 episodes left. The last 2 are gonna be probably directly continuation, I would assume, because
Mhm.
we've seen the trailer. We've seen the trailer of next week's episode. It's Wanda is back in her house. She's doing like an office type thing where interviews, tell the storytelling mechanics. Why what like come on? You put John Krasinski in the Office episode. You have to. You have to. That's why I'm saying like this. They made the Kick-Ass reference. They put Evan Peters as Quicksilver. Why wouldn't they do that? It would have made so much. I don't know. But we've been talking about this for
Just
way
need
too
that
long. I
fan
think
service.
we've been talking about Reed Richards for almost a half hour.
I could talk about Reed Richards all day.
Me too, man.
Hey man, he can stretch around and go wherever he wants. I'm all for it.
You can
Yeah.
stretch me anytime.
Now, I have seen a clip. Now it's not an official release. I can tell you guys what it is, or we can wait. It's just a second clip. If you guys want to
You
know
can
what,
say it.
you cool with that, Terrell?
I didn't say anything.
Oh no, you want to know what it is? It's just
Kinda.
for a second. I don't know if it's from WandaVision, because some of these clips have been pulled from other Elizabeth Olsen projects. There's a lot of fake trailers out about that too, but
Of course there is.
basically, it's the Mind Stone, and she's looking at it. She's like, it's a Mind Stone in some sort of.
That was
like-
in the trailer.
Was it?
It was in the trailer. I think it was the icon they used. The one that before you click the video, that's the one that
Oh,
she's just staring
okay.
at the Mind Stone.
Yeah, the Mind Stone is in some sort of like invisible looking case. Like it's floating there.
Yep.
And she's like trying to reach out to it or something, or she's looking at it.
Nice.
Now, keep in mind, she was on Captain America's team in Civil War. They're homies and all. What are the odds that he did her a favor and lied to the whole universe?
I mean, that'd be pretty sick, man.
Maybe he.
I think that
Maybe he
all her powers are from the Mind Stone. I think because when Thanos snapped the stones out of existence, he didn't destroy them. He just turned them into atoms. Maybe
he
she
destroyed
did
the stone
something
with
with her hex magic. Yep, and maybe she used her powers to reconstruct the Mind Stone from the fragments.
Now,
he has the capability to do that.
Now I think, like, it could be Captain America, just being like, "Hey, you know, you're my pal. Here's a little something for your future." Where he lied because we never see him put the stones back. We know he did, because that's what he said. We know we said he did, but we don't know where they are. We don't know how he did it. You just know he took the hammer and just like, bye. I'm gonna live my life as an old man. I will live my whole life. Like, at what point did he just not put it in some sort of secret location for her to find, and then bring back Vision? I mean, like I said, death. Oh, I've said it before in the podcast thing. Marvel deaths have not really been. I didn't say this. I said this last night to somebody. Maybe it was John, where I said Marvel deaths have not been serious. Everyone has come back in some way or might come back. There's only one death that we know for sure is probably permanent, and that was Heimdall's. Besides, hero wise, Heimdall is the only one that actually died, and I was like, yeah, we don't really care about him. There was.
I care about Heimdall. It did him dirty.
No, I know. I'm just saying that no one in the movies have even referenced him yet. They're like, oh man, we had a funeral for. They didn't have a funeral for Black Widow. But she's getting a movie. So Loki getting a TV show. No one's death except for Iron Man and Heimdall is probably permanent. But I mean, money can do a lot of things, and Disney has money. But unless you guys have everything else to say, I think that'll be it for this week. It's been about an hour and a half. That's usually around the time we end.
I got nothing else. I am full blown still in on the theories that I mentioned. That's it.
I'm just excited to see what goes.
You know what's really funny? In 3 weeks from now, we're gonna do like a big like wrap up. I mean, man, were we wrong? Like it would be stuff we never even expected. Like Agnes is the hero. Mephisto never showed up. Everything's wrong. Vision, he's alive. The contact on the bridge was Rhodey. I don't know. Like we just don't know. But until then, this is the BBOE Talk podcast, and this is episode 6 for WandaVision. And thank you for watching. Thank you, John and Trail, as always, my beautiful partners in this endeavor. And have a nice day.